what I think would be a different change, and I've seen, is run ads to have people register for your drop, like your release of your new product line, right? Your collection. Build up a massive email list and nurture them like a webinar over a week to 2 weeks, showing them the background process of building this collection, what the samples look like, what the product looks like. And then you're like counting down the days. So now when you drop, you've been nurturing these people for 7 to 10 business days, and now they're ready when it drops, and then you instantly sell out. I think e-com brands should try that tactic versus just throwing money at Facebook and hoping that people buy.
Yeah, that's sort of like just throwing money in the wind and just, hope, almost like buying a lottery ticket in a way, right?
Yeah.
Just hoping that you win.
This conversation about building up your blueprint. It's time to take it, cause time is wasted. Go grind and chase it, don't lose it.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Respect My Blueprint podcast, where we take a deep dive into the techniques and stories that build successful businesses and meaningful relationships. And today I have a very special guest on the show, someone who's going to give us some gems on the e-com game, as well as building a six-figure business using the power of funnels and sales strategies. So I hope you guys are ready to tune in and listen to some of the gems he has to drop today. I want to welcome my guest today, Tuned In Tony, none other than Tony Smith. How's it going today, brother?
Man, it's good. I'm so glad that I was able to, get on your platform. You was introduced, spoke up highly, and I'm just glad to be able to teach your audience how they could be taking skill sets that they already have and packaging that into a digital product and creating maybe a secondary income, but we're going to try to get them to a full-time income. But digital is just like what's going on now, and I just think everyone should know about it.
Absolutely. You really touched on especially how the digital age we're in right now, especially with the explosion of AI, right? The whole internet game and how to sell online is about to get revolutionized, right? But before we get into that, I want to go ahead, if you kind of introduce yourself to the audience, because most people don't know, you became largely successful coming up in the e-com and apparel game, right? And now you're helping entrepreneurs scale their businesses via sales strategies like funnels, right? So if you could kind of share with everybody, your background growing up so far to get to the point where you're at right now.
Yeah, 100%. So what's really good about my background is I feel like it's so similar to how the majority of us look at business. Like, it started early for me. When I was 18, I learned graphic design on YouTube University back in the day because I couldn't afford to pay graphic designers and stuff. So I figured it out myself. Thank God that I did, because that skill propelled me to be able to do so many things. So what I'm going to touch on later also is a lot of us have a skill set, but sometimes it's just not in the right vehicle to get us to where we want to go. So from me having that graphic design skill, that led me into doing small things like logos and business cards for people. And then once I felt like that was too small, I got into e-commerce. What I loved about e-commerce was the fact that I could be creative, design things, and then I could just run ads to it and just have to kind of fulfill. So that was my journey for the past 12 years or so, probably 20. I'm 32 now. So 21 to just the past a year and a half. And it was great at a point, especially when Facebook ads used to be like a gold mine where you can put in $1 and make $10, right? So
now it's changed.
Now it's definitely changed. But since the pandemic happened, the world has changed into a digital era, and digital has blown up. But also, one of my favorite books that I recommend anybody on your platform to read is Who Moved My Cheese. It's like a 100-page book. And the book is so great because it talks about how change is inevitable, right? A lot of times we're so used to staying in one place because we feel like that's what our identity is. That's how people see me. But we got to understand we're only on this earth for so long. So we have to maximize our time. So are we in the right place at the right time that's given us the most, maximization of that time in a sense? And I had to look at the t-shirt business, and I was like, and I loved it, like deep passion. But I was like, this just isn't where it's at no more. Like, I just had an epiphany. It was one day where my boy Justin Phillips, me and him kind of started digital together in 2020,
Okay.
selling ebooks. He took off way faster than I did with the digital doing webinars. So I had been seeing his success and I was like, wow, this is great, but I hadn't achieved it yet. And he told me one day, you have to get out the warehouse and think. He was the guy that started Support Black College. They built that into a $5 million business, Urban Outfitters, NBA 2K, all that. And he left
What?
that business to go digital. And he told me, you got to get out the warehouse. And I'm like one ear out the
Not
other,
the
like
other,
maybe,
yeah.
maybe soon, but like my life is in this warehouse with these clothes. But I kept
Right.
going broke. Like I kept having to take merchant cash advances to fund my business during the summer months when like clothes like jackets and hoodies weren't being sold. And then one day all my staff was sick and I looked around, I said, do I want to be 35, possibly have a son one day or a kid, and I'm standing right here shipping these boxes out?
Just
Is that where I
put it
see
in
myself?
perspective at that point, right?
Put it in perspective. And then to say, when I say putting your skill set in the right vehicle, Justin, my friend that I was just telling you about, let me build his sales funnel for him and another coach named Ellie, their Black Friday campaign. Of course, I said I started graphic design at 18, right?
Right.
Most sales funnels look clunky, scammy, flat. They just kind of don't really have that look.
Right.
Justin gave me the opportunity to design for him. And when I designed, everyone said, who did that funnel? You know what I mean? And then Justin is a high earner coach. So he knows people. And then he introduced me to another coach who does 12 million a year named Will Rivera. And he let me do all the funnels for his inner circle. And then it was like just fire from then. You know what I'm saying? It was just
Right,
like
right.
take that skill set, put it in this vehicle of helping people build systems that help them earn income digitally. And then it made my value skyrocket because I don't really talk about it that much, but I did, of course, like we just talked about, I was doing the e-com and I was doing
Right.
like 50 to 100,000 a month, depending on what time of the year it was.
Okay, not too
I
bad.
got not too bad. I got event spaces, but I was never really that valuable. I was just cool. But when I started making sales funnels, it was like the top coaches. I just started like seeing them in my DMs. People were talking about me. So that's why I said, like, a lot of times for your audience, when we're in here, you may already have the skill set, but you just don't have it in the right vehicle to take you to where you want to go. So you got to evaluate where your skill set currently is. You know what I mean?
You know what?
So
And that's a good segue into this first question because the pandemic has caused a lot of people to reevaluate, their skill sets, whether it's going to be, relevant in this post-pandemic era, right? And I think we're about to approach that again, like I mentioned earlier with this AI, where again it's going to take a lot of jobs as well too. So, what are your thoughts on, really quick? What are your thoughts on people having to now go through this phase again, up and coming with AI, having to reassess their skill sets?
yeah, so I would say, going back to that book, Who Moved My Cheese, right?
Right.
In
Okay.
that book, what they didn't notice, the characters in there, that the cheese was always getting smaller. They're just used to the cheese being there. So sometimes we have to evaluate our situation and see if our cheese is getting smaller, even though it's still there. But you don't want to try to pivot when it's gone because that's when it's too late,
Too
right?
late. Right.
Or
Right.
so what you got to understand is if you do have a job where possibly they could be kind of teetering, do we need them because AI could possibly be taking advantage? Be like, no, how do I take advantage of AI to use it for the career that I'm in? You see what I'm saying? So for instance, let's just say I work for Wes as a copywriter. Wes may be like talking to his internal team like, man, we might be able to just use Chat GPT and these other things, and we might not need Tony. How about I hit the pain point on the head and say, hey, Wes, bro, I was doing, let's say, 3 projects a week for you, but now with Chat GPT, we're at 7. So you don't look at it like it replaces Tony. You look at it like, yo, this propelled him. So I'm not
Right.
even going to think
Helps
about
Tony.
it. Exactly. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yep.
Which that right there, that's a great point, because although a lot of people are shaking, like you said, it's a great way for people to reinvent themselves and say, hey, okay, yeah, my cheese may be getting a little smaller, but okay, let me go ahead and find another way to replenish it or to make my cheese, a lot more attractive that I do have, right?
Right.
Which I want to segue into this. Obviously, what you have become now, building this great digital marketing business, right? Where you're helping people scale their businesses via sales funnels. You mentioned that, it was your mentor that gave you the expertise and everything. So if you could share how important it is to have a sales funnel nowadays. If you're 2023, you're an online coach or trying to sell a product or service here, how important it is to have a funnel.
Exactly. That's an amazing question. It's a question I get all the time. So a lot of us, there is the era of our website and, we all need websites for our business. Websites are good for credibility. So I call your website your glorified business card. But when we look at the game that we're playing now, is all about leads. So the
Yeah.
issue with the traditional website, what I call traditional website, your Wix, your WordPress, stuff like that, the thing Squarespace, the thing with those, they present choice overload. So what happens is you have a lead that comes to your website and it has all these links at the top: hours, about us, services, our process, our portfolio. And what happens is, instead of making people earn to see these by opting in and giving us their contact information, they're looking at all of this and they're leaving because we didn't ask them for their information, right?
True.
So where a sales funnel changes things at is we design custom customer journeys that takes a cold lead and turns them into a hot lead. And when I personally build funnels, I like to build funnels offensively and defensively. So what I mean by that is, let's just say Wes, for some reason, had a podcast course or a program where you could figure out how to do a podcast on your own. Well, what we understand is everyone is not going to take action the first time they come to this site. But what we can do is say, are you interested in learning the 3 steps that top podcasters use to gain more views and go viral? Curiosity. Wow, I
Right.
want to know. So then it says, opt in to get my 3 secrets of how you can do this for yourself. Well, they're going to give you their name, phone number, and email. And then the reason why we like to do the free lead magnet is because at least let's get the free email, that get the email address and make that be correct, because people of course like to put in incorrect information. But if you
Right.
want the 3 secrets, we got to send
You
it to
gotta
you.
you gotta give the right info. Yeah.
The right info. So that's a defensive tactic. But then what we will do is have another page where I would probably have like a video sales letter. Hey guys, this is Wes. Build
Oh.
credibility of what you've done, talk about what you did and how you are the solution to their problem. And then under it, depending on the price point, you could either have them book a call or go ahead and purchase, right?
Right.
Now,
Okay.
defensively, let's talk about defense. Well, now that you just opted in, we're going to put you in an email nurture sequence where Wes is going to be hanging out in their inbox for the next 30 to 60 days, nurturing them. So who
Right.
are they going to trust now when they want to do a podcast? They're going to trust Wes
Yes.
because they keep
Right.
seeing your. That's why a sales funnel beats a traditional website every single time. You see what I'm saying?
Let me ask you, because obviously most people are not aware that there's different types of funnels out there. You mentioned obviously the main one, sales funnels, but there's opt-in, webinars that you can get into, and lead magnet as well too. And
Mhm.
with all of these different platforms and different coaches and everything, what is the nuance of having a funnel? Because there's different coaches and funnel experts out there, but I know you're the guy. Okay, you're the guy.
Mhm.
So if you
Yeah.
could tell us how important it is to have a different funnel. Is it like the as nuance of having one weight trainer versus another weight trainer? Most of them, they may have their specialized technique, but at the end of the day, their goal is to have you lose 60 pounds within 90 days or 6 months or whatever the case may be. Is it that same type of aspect?
Yeah, 100%. So, keyword that stuck out to me that you said was technique, right?
Right.
So, the way that I set my system up, and there are different funnels. The different funnels include webinar, ebook, video, sales letter, tripwire, free plus shipping, all different techniques to funnel traffic from the top to the bottom. Just like if you're putting oil in your car, you're going to put a funnel on there, you're going to put the oil at the top, and it's going to go to the right place in the engine, right?
Ah, good
So,
analogy there. I like
you
that.
see what I'm saying? Same thing for the funnel. I use a video sales letter funnel to attract high ticket customers because with me, there's a lot of strategy involved when I'm working with a client. If Wes is trying to attract a high ticket client, most of the time they're busy and they don't have time to watch a 2 hour webinar. So I would attract that person through a video sales letter that may be about 10 to 12 minutes, asking them to book a call because that's how they operate. We got to play the game they play. Now, a very generalized offer where I'm trying to get anyone, I would do a webinar because I have to win you over and educate you a lot more than just that 10-minute video. But ultimately, your goal when you're setting up your system has to be leading them no matter what door they come in to the same place. So we have a lot of different doors on the front end, but we got one ending place at the end. And what for me that is book a call. So if you come through
Oh,
via,
okay. So it's like you're directing them just to book a call. That's the intention there, pretty much.
that's my intention from my
Got it.
personal setup, and everyone's is different, and that's what we figure out. So whether you come through mini chat, lead ebook funnel, or webinar, I'm all asking them to book calls, and then ultimately that's how we close our deals in my business.
Okay. Well, let me ask you now. I know there's not just it's just a funnel when it
Hmm.
comes to scaling to a six-figure business. Although the funnel is the most integral part, right? So, if
Hmm.
you could kind of share a little bit, what's some of the other elements that's needed to have a successful funnel? Because there's a lot of platforms I know that has to be attached to it, and a lot of different things to be able to aggregate and optimize the data to be able to have a performing funnel. So if you could share a little bit some of the elements that's needed to be able to have a high performing funnel.
Yeah, that's a great question because, and I'm really glad that you asked that because the past 2 months I've been doing my own offer. And what I mean by that was the past year I was very referral based where people were just like referring and they were all extremely hot leads, cash ready, right?
Right.
Well, when I did my own offer, started running ads for myself because our main two services is funnel building and running traffic to the offers that are our clients. So when
Right.
I started
Okay.
doing it for myself, I was like, huh, it ain't the same. Like the money was kind of slower because
Right.
now I'm talking to people who don't understand what I need for them to understand versus those referrals were already ready. So it showed me everything it took to really get a client from A to Z because I was used to people who are already doing 50 to 100,000 a month. They had teams already. I was just coming in building the funnel. Well, now what I've seen for myself is you're going to need the funnel. You're going to need traffic, whether that's organic or paid, but really they work together, organic and paid, because the paid is going to amplify you being out there. You're going to need email to nurture and follow up. But then the biggest things you need when you see these really big coaches is you have to bring in a sales team, first starting out with your setter. So all of the leads that are coming through, most people make the mistake of not truly following up with all of those leads. So then you need that setter that's going to be creating appointments, trying to get them on the phone to book. But then the next thing you need, and I definitely advise that you take all your sales calls for the first 4 weeks so that you
four
understand the key
weeks.
of,
Right.
yes, the
Okay.
key of,
So, because you have to understand that journey, pretty much, right?
yeah. And
Okay.
you got to see the objections that people are giving about your offer so that you can teach a sales team. Then once you get the sales team, what happens is now you're able to move from wearing all the hats to a CEO in your position, because now you got to make sure your sales team is tight. You're looking at where your funnel has gaps in it. Where can I fill those in? You're making the content because now you're not on the phone call. You're not doing that. And that's when I finally saw for myself that I was like, this is how they get here. Because the first week, I'm not going to lie to you, Wes, the first week I had my sales team, I have 3 closers. I looked at my phone and she closed a $12,500 offer without me being present.
Oh,
And
I
that,
know
and I
that
was
was like, damn.
I'm like, whoa. So that's why I'm saying, like, me doing my own offer, I truly understand the pain point and the process to get somebody from A to Z. You know what I mean?
Okay, which,
Yeah.
you brought up a lot of things that a lot of people aren't aware of. Even I had to learn this, right? Because, as a podcaster, my also wheelhouse is a credit repair. So I'm trying to put an offer together as well too now. And you brought up something very important is an aspect of nurturing the emails, right? Because this day and age, and you probably could share, that's gold.
Mm-hmm.
Having that email list, because uh, having all of that data on a social media platform, you could lose that in any minute. I've seen people lost their Instagrams or YouTubes and things like that in a blink of an eye. So if you could share a little bit that point right there, the importance of nurturing and staying on top of your data gold, which is your emails.
100%. So you have to keep nurturing because, like I said, we want people to take action that second, but they're not. It's just factual, right? But the thing is, our ultimate goal is to fill our pipeline with leads and then nurture them on autopilot. The reason why is because even though you say, I didn't close anybody week 1, week 2, week 3, I noticed for me, my week 1 and 2 started closing on week 4, because I'm a service-based business. But the reason why is because I'm thinking they forgot about me, but they've been seeing Tony Smith of bizlaunch.io every other day in their email talking about why they need a funnel. And then something's going to happen in their life to where they're like, today's the day. I'm tired of doing this manual. I feel like I'm losing money. I'm going to click that book a call button and I'm getting on this phone.
Right. They're going to wake up one of these days and say, you know what? I'm going to do it. Right.
Yeah, exactly. And then next thing you know, like, I kid you not, I've looked at my email several times and I've seen a lead from a few weeks ago. Hey, hey, Tony, we're ready to move forward with your services. And I forgot that they were even thinking about me. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
you
saying?
thought they was just lost in the wind, and you're just like, wow, okay, bam.
Exactly. So,
So, okay, which Tony, hold on. Now, I want to ask you this because a lot of our audience, are aspiring entrepreneurs are just now getting out, right? Getting out there in the world, trying to get their business going and everything. So, let me ask you a question. If for the entrepreneur that has maybe less than $1,000 to be exact, right? $1,000 and an idea of whether the product or service that they're trying to sell, is that enough to go ahead and get them to get a funnel set up and also get their business to the next level, which is 5 figures a month potentially?
no, it's not.
No,
So,
oh man, Tony, don't
it's
say
not. It's
that.
not. And it's not. And the reason why is because most people are going to say, okay, let me go on Fiverr and get a funnel. And they
Right.
think the funnel is the answer to their problems. And then that funnel on Fiverr is not going to have any strategy, any psychology. The thing that I would say do, if I only had $1,000, I would focus on building out my offer completely. Because what
Okay.
I started noticing was I have a lot of people that submit booking applications that choose don't have a product yet / not selling anything. So then I was like, I need to create a digital product rollout service that helps people build a digital product. And the thing with that is you need to understand your offer before you try to get a funnel and start selling to people. And someone asked me, what do you notice between the clients that are successful and not successful? And it all boils down to that client having a great offer that is easy to understand and presents value to a person in need of that solution. You see what I'm saying? That's what I would focus on completely, because if you have your offer, you can sell your offer by posting it on your Instagram page and people hitting you up. The funnel is just going to streamline and automate your process. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, okay, that makes better sense. Okay, so you really got to have, the pot of gold solidified before you even get to that, like quote unquote rainbow to the pot of gold, pretty much, right?
I like that. Yep.
Got it. Okay. Okay. So now here's another problem a lot of online influencers and people encounter is building traffic, right? Because you mentioned there's organic traffic and there's also paid traffic. For somebody starting out, and again, we're just talking about this aspiring entrepreneur here. Let's say maybe got $5,000. What's your best recommendation to start out, especially if they don't have that large of a following on social media?
Yeah. The honest answer, like I don't want to be cliche and say make
Right.
a bunch of content and post, but from me seeing data, like I literally just looked at my Facebook ads data for our agency account. We spent $2 million in the last 180 days of our clients' money, right? And the reason I say that is because I want to show the credit, right? I want to show the credibility of the amount of data that I see, right? So
Uh,
what I would tell people to do is find a nest egg, whether you do a financing plan with that coach or whatever you do, to have some type of budget to run ads, but then create constant organic content. Because what's going to happen is when those ads are running, people click to your page and look at what you've got going on. So you run your ads to be, like the bait, but then once they click to your page, you want to show that you're an expert in here. Don't even worry about the likes or the amount of followers you have. But let's just say we're running ads for a person who has an offer about cars. Well,
okay.
the ad is presented, the cold lead sees it, they like it, they go and research the coach. But let's just say the coach only has 500 followers, but he got 40 videos talking about everything he knows about cars. We're providing solutions for people's problems. We don't got to be the most clout coach. You just want to show that you know how to get the person having the problem from point A to point Z so their problem could be solved. So that's what I would say do. Have a little nest egg so that you can invest in ads, but be working on your personal organic content for the credibility in making you look like the authority.
Oh, absolutely. Ads, there's a lot of, it does, depending on which crowd you're speaking to. Some people, advocate for them. A lot of people say that, it's a lost art nowadays. But of course, the social media companies, you have to promote your business on social media. And of course, ads is the most optimal way to do so. So, let me ask you, outside of, you know, what are your thoughts about the funnel market right now? Okay. And to build up on that question there, you know, I watched your show. There's an episode you had with Marcus Rosier, if I'm not mistaken. Right,
Yeah.
another funnel expert, right? And I watch you guys kind of go at it a little bit, right, on the different tactics and everything. And what I found interesting is that, he has an approach that's very, not very, but somewhat different than yours, and you have your approach that's been largely successful as well, too, right? So,
Hmm.
when it comes to the psychology of sales,
Hmm.
what is your approach when it comes to just not the funnel, but the psychology of being able to sell anything to anyone?
Yeah, 100%. So the thing when it comes to funnel psychology, I do pride myself on that because I've lost a lot of money by doing funnels wrong. And that's
Well, that was the learning experience right there, right? So,
that was a learning experience. I've read all of Russell Brunson's trilogy of his books from .com Seekers, Expert Seekers, Traffic Seekers. Jason Fladlin interviewed him. So I truly focus on psychology. And what that means is a lot of the psychology is all in the messaging. Now, I make funnels that look really good, but I understand how to make that psychology speak to the cold lead that is interested in what you do and is on your page. Because most people, they think the funnel is just the answer. The funnel is a great tool, but we have to be able to hit pain points. We have to be able to show credibility, and we have to be able to build trust on that page. But then I also understand too that it's not smart to run an ad or run traffic and have someone land on a direct page that says buy my course. It's just not smart. You're not going to get a bunch of you're not going to get a bunch of success. You have to educate these people, and just like we would do in normal life. So what I look at it is, you meet somebody, the first time you meet somebody at the mall, you don't say, "Hey, bro, you want to come over to my house?" He's gonna be like, "Weirdo."
Yeah, like
You
what the
see what I'm
heck?
saying?
Yeah, for
But
real.
you're gonna be like, you're gonna talk. Y'all gonna like probably exchange Instagrams. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? He's
Get
gonna
to know
vet
each
you,
other, build that rapport a little bit.
get that pour. Y'all might go hang out, go to the bar, get something to eat, and then next thing you know, you watching the Super Bowl. Y'all are friends now. It's the same thing. So we got to take these leads down a journey before we say, "Give me your money." And of course, it can still be done in like a day, but it's like opt in, educate, present yourself, how you can present that, and then let them purchase. You see what I'm saying? So it's all about psychology of not rushing the sale.
Well, and you know what? That's you brought up a great point because the messaging. A lot of people, they lack on that important aspect because who are you selling to, right? Whether it's the single mother or it's the father or it's the family or it's the younger generation, older generation. A lot of people don't know their avatar and everything like that. And knowing your avatar not only separates you from having, I guess, a hobby to an actual business, but it also lets you know that how you could properly structure your funnel. So I like how you brought that point there. And as we ready to get wrap up the show, I wanted to ask you about the e-commerce game. With platforms that has exploded. I'm not sure you was on Shopify. That was the platform you
Yeah,
used from. Right.
yeah.
Okay. What are your thoughts on the e-commerce game nowadays? Because the game has been totally flipped on its head, and again, with the new revolution of AI, it's going to get flipped on its head again. You decided
Yeah.
to get out of the e-commerce game, obviously, because of your mentor, Justin. What are your, now that you're out of it, looking in the rearview mirror, what's your thoughts about it right now?
Yeah, I think ecom is one of those businesses, like ecom will never go anywhere, right? Because we're
Really?
always buying, yeah, I don't think it will go anywhere because we're always buying stuff online. Amazon is ecom, you know what I
True.
mean? But for the traditional, like let me just go like down to like Shopify store owners. The majority of Shopify store owners were built off of Facebook ads being a gold mine. Now, the fact that that's changed and lead cost is high, I urge e-commerce owners, and one day when I have time, I want to test it out on my previous brand, is
Right.
how can I take the same strategies that I've been using in the funnels and take them to e-com? So what I mean by that is most e-com has an ad that lands on a store that says buy my product, right?
Right. Okay.
And most people leave, and what happens is the Facebook ads start costing too much and the business becomes unprofitable, and that's why these e-com businesses have to rely on Shopify capital and merchant cash advances. What I think would be a different change, and I've seen, is run ads to have people register for your drop, like your release of your new product line, right? Your collection.
Right.
Build up a massive email list and nurture them like a webinar over a week to 2 weeks, showing them the background process of building this collection, what the samples look like, what the product looks like. And then you're like counting down the days. So now when you drop, you've been nurturing these people for 7 to 10 business days, and now they're ready when it drops, and then you instantly sell out. I think ecom brands should try that tactic versus just throwing money at Facebook and hoping that people buy.
Yeah, that's sort of like just throwing money in the wind and just, hope, almost like buying a lottery ticket in a way, right? And
Yeah.
just hoping that you win. So,
And then too, one thing also is you
go ahead.
also get to build a massive email list. You see what I'm saying? Because you're telling people, don't miss out on this drop. And then your email list. I remember when Facebook ads changed, 60% of my revenue was coming from email. So that's another gem for just our Shopify people listening.
Okay. So with that being said, you touched on the email list again, but let me ask you, what's your favorite funnel? Because, A lot of people are
Yeah.
now webinars is the wave right now, right? A
Hmm.
lot of people have different thoughts about the ebooks. Some people say, things like that. I know you're a proponent of it, but what's your favorite funnel right now, or what you recommend for somebody starting out?
Yeah, so the ebook has kind of burnt out as far as making like good money from it. And the reason why was because the barrier to entry was too low and people were able to make ebooks that didn't have that much integrity to them. So ebooks are still good for lead magnets, like getting people to opt in. My personal favorite for me is a video sales letter because they
Yes, sir.
opt in, they watch a video, then they apply to get on the call. But my second one, it would be webinar emails. I mean, webinar funnels for sure. Just because the good thing about a webinar is you're able to get a bunch of people in one room, teach them why they should use your service, and then pitch an offer to them at the end.
Which, by the
So
way,
yeah.
if you could share everybody, what is a VSL?
Yeah, a VSL is a video sales letter. So the issue with the webinar is a webinar is great, but it takes a team, it takes a lot of work, it creates a lot of anxiety, and you're like, oh God, you're thinking about it all day and you will not close anybody, right? Well,
Right.
video sales letter is it's the perfect funnel automation, especially once you include the setter in place. So if I could use Wes's podcast package for an example, it would go like Wes has a VSL of how to create a podcast in 3 simple steps. Someone opts in, they watch the video, they see who you've podcasted with, all of that. They say, I trust Wes, and then they either buy your product, which could be a tripwire to upsell to another product, or book a call, whichever strategy we decide on. But that setter is going to hit up all of those leads and then basically say, like, hey, Tony, thanks for opting into Wes's pod package. Boom, boom, boom. Can we jump on a call to talk about getting your show started? And you see what I'm saying? It's just fast versus the issue with the webinar is we're banking on all of these people to show up on Thursday or Sunday.
Right.
But
And
they
you and it's extended. It's like an hour long sometimes, a webinar you got to prepare for, or more. But yeah.
exactly, and they opted in on Monday, but if your show isn't till the following Sunday or Thursday, they forgot. The VSL is way faster. You know what I mean?
And you brought up another good point. In a lot of clients don't know, or a lot of people don't know the power of upselling and downselling within the funnels. If you could share on that, because you could leave a lot of money on the table just not by not having the appropriate upsell or downsell offer as well too.
Yeah, you gotta have upsells and downsells, and all the biggest companies are doing it. And then we just sometimes don't know that they're upsells and downsells. And even the grocery store does it. Like, let's say you go to Best Buy to buy a TV. What are they
Right.
gonna ask you when you buy the TV? Do you want the warranty with that? That's an upsell. So the reason why I say that is because I want people to understand that it's okay to do this. Because when I talk to clients, they're like, yeah, but I just sold them on the program. Is that kind of weird by selling them
Right.
something
Some
else?
people think it's a little too scamish, like you're kind of like a car salesman,
Right,
like a little bit. Yeah.
right. But the thing is, people want to spend money. We just have to give them things that complement the product that we sold. An example I always use is if a carpet cleaner offered his service, why not upsell flea and tick powder in the carpet? Because people have pets. Why not offer the baseboards getting clean? Because your customer is going to tell you, I didn't know you did that. I wish you would have done it. I would have paid
Yeah.
you for it.
Yeah.
So
Especially if
I'm
you
gonna
got
give
them
you
to pay the first time, it's easy to kind of like get some more money out of them.
Grant Cardone always says secondhand money is way easier to get than the first money. Once you get them in the spending cycle and the card's already out, it's way easier to get them to like add on. Just like when you go to McDonald's and you upgrade, right? And I want to give you a clean example that makes sense. I always tell my audience, how many of us have actually booked a U-Haul before? Me, right?
Right.
As soon as you book the U-Haul for $45, whatever it is, they ask you, do you want roadside assistance? Do you want insurance? Do you want dollies? Do you want boxes? And do you want movers? You went from $50 to $350 right
That's
then.
true.
You're not doing the same thing. You know what I mean?
And they'll list out the benefits and the disadvantages if you don't get it. So it kind of gets you thinking, like, that's tapping into that psychology, like you said. It's like, okay, I might as well get this as it's going to benefit me in the long run, right?
Exactly.
So, you know, I want to ask you before we wrap up the show, Tony. What's the advice do you have for aspiring coach entrepreneur trying to get into the business? Right, they want to go ahead and build a 6-figure business in 6 months. Right. So aside from having a funnel and an idea in place, what is your one bit of advice you would give to that entrepreneur trying to kickstart and get their way going?
Yeah. So the main bit of advice that I would first give to anyone, and especially if they're a coach or entrepreneur, is sell something that you are truly passionate about. And whether it's not paying you or not, you can keep running with it. Because one of the biggest mistakes that I also see is people looking with no blinders on, and they're looking at all these other coaches and they're just trying to get to where they are the fastest way. But the issue is they're missing all the signs in their business that are telling them what to do. But if you stay focused on what your main offer is, what you're passionate about, you'll start to listen to your clients and you'll see what's not involved. Just like I told you earlier, for me, hey, I'm getting these leads, but a lot of these people don't have an offer. So what does that tell me? They're interested in becoming a coach, but they need help making an offer. So maybe we need to create a product around giving them an offer. You see what I'm saying? And then
Right.
the next thing that I would do is listen to people like you and I that have entrepreneurs on our show to learn from. Because if you want to do this in 6 months, you're going to have a coach. Because like I told you with my own example, I've lost over $10,000 running ads not the right way. You know what I mean? And I've learned from that. But doing my own offer, I understand, like, build the funnel, perfect the offer, get the setters in place, take my own sales calls, and then bring in a sales team. And that's how you get there in 6 months.
So there's actually a science and a mythology behind it, and that's for the audience out there, because this is something I'm going through currently, to be honest with you, Tony, because, as I'm putting the offer together, I'm just like you realize, like, oh, wait a minute, there's a lot of components, there's resources, a team that you have to put together and things like that. So I hope the audience got a lot of great gems from what you shared today. I'm pretty sure they have. A lot of people are probably, maybe got some people upset because they're like, damn, I can't just get the ClickFunnels and Active Campaign and that's it. No, that's not it.
Right.
But before we wrap up, I know BizLaunch.io is your platform. That is the platform that you utilize to go ahead and, again, show entrepreneurs to be able to scale their business by using the power of high performance funnels and everything. So I want to go ahead and end the show by you sharing with everybody BizLaunch.io, as well as where they can find you, and therefore they can tap in with you as well.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for that opportunity. So everyone, my agency is called BizLaunch.io, and we're very passionate about helping, normal people become, more successful and have extra income by packaging their skill sets into digital products. And I promise you guys that it's not scammy, it's not clunky. There's people that want to know how to be a better potter, how to fix their cars more, how to do anything that you love. There's people that want to do that too. And it's your right to be able to show them that they can do that too. And it actually makes you feel good when you empower somebody and you see that because of your education, they were able to do that too. So that's what BizLaunch.io does, helps you scale those offers. And you guys can tap in with me on Instagram, YouTube at Tuned In Tony. And if you want to learn a little bit more about funnels and how they work in my short video, you can go to funnelhackerworkshop.com and watch that 10-minute video. And thanks again to Wes for just giving me the opportunity to share with his platform.
Absolutely. And guys, please don't forget, check out Tony's podcast, Tuned In with Tony. Did I say it right? Tuned In with Tony?
Yeah, yeah. They just type in "tuned in Tony" and it'll pop up.
Got it, got it. Okay, because similar to this podcast, he has a lot of experts and entrepreneurs come on and they share their game on how to be able to go ahead and build, scale, and grow your business. So definitely check out Tony's podcast show. And Tony, thanks for coming in, man. You've definitely blessed
Yeah,
the audience with a lot of gems and everything like that. Hopefully, we can go ahead and have you back on the show again, part two. And I know you're in Atlanta. Hopefully, I can
where are you
come.
located?
I'm here. We're here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
I gotta pull up one day when I go to like Miami or something.
Pull
Yeah.
up, absolutely, man. We have you in the studio, and hopefully, I can
Yeah.
get the olive branch extended to come on your platform whenever the next time the
100%.
Blueprint family in the A.
That's easy. That's already
Okay.
done.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Well, listen, Tony, thanks for tuning in, guys. And again, if you want to tap in with Tony, all of the links will be in the show bio. And of course, again, this is the platform where we go ahead and share deep, insightful thoughts on the techniques and relationships on how to build your business and also how to build meaningful relationships. Guys, thanks for tapping in. And as always, we're going to catch you on the flip side. Peace.